Greetings, everybody, and welcome back to Cloud Life Wisdom. So far, I've been your host, Zirieti, and happy Aviation Day, which means that this week we're going to be celebrating 10 creatures that are all flying or gliding animals of some sort. Beginning with the first creature of the week, Patinosaurus. It is a genus of pterosaurs which lived throughout what is now Europe during the late Norian age of the Triassic period, some 218 to 215 million years ago. The first fossils of Patinosaurus were found in 1978 near Sienne, Italy, and consisted of two skeletons, the first being a partial disarticulated skeleton consisting of the portions of the lower jaw and scattered parts of both wings and legs. The second example is a very well preserved specimen in articulation, but missing the head and neck. German paleontologist Rupert Wild named the animals Patinosaurus zembellii. The genus name is derived from the Greek patinos, meaning winged, and sauros, meaning lizard, the latter being used to indicate any saurian. The specific name zembelli honors Rocco Zembelli, the curator of the Bergamo Natural History Museum. Since then, a third partial skeleton has been recovered, reaching just 12 to 16 inches or 30 to 40 centimeters long and sporting a 24-inch or 60 centimeter wingspan. Patinosaurus is one of the smallest and oldest known pterosaurs. The wings are robust and relatively short, at only twice the length of the legs. The claws on the hands and feet were large and curved, and Patinosaurus also had a very long bony tail, which at over 15 centimeters or 6 inches made up at least half of its total length. The tail vertebrae bore long extensions overlapping several vertebrae back. This made the tail fairly stiff, but also flexible, similar to a fishing rod. Patinosaurus may have also had a vertical fin at the end of its tail, like what is seen in many other long-tailed pterosaurs. Excuse me. The lower jaw of Patinosaurus is very long and thin, with parallel upper and lower borders. The bone is lined with many small teeth, and the teeth are shaped like curved blades, closely packed, and except for the first two teeth, are uniformly small. These factors converge to suggest that Patinosaurus belongs to one of the most basal groups of pterosaurs, the Dimorphodontidae, of which the only other known member is the later genus Dimorphodon. Next up, we have Pelicanus erythrorhynchus, better known as the American white pelican. It is a large aquatic soaring bird in the order Pelicaniformes. American white pelicans nest in colonies of several hundred pairs on islands in remote brackish and freshwater lakes of inland North America. Its most northerly nesting colony can be found on the islands in the rapids of the Slave River between Fort Fitzgerald, Alberta, and Fort Smith of the Northwest Territories. Several groups have been visiting the bird sanctuary at Useless Bay in the state of Washington since 2015, and about 10 to 20% of the population uses Gunnison Island in the Great Basin's Great Salt Lake as a nesting ground. The southernmost colonies are located in western Nevada. They winter in the Pacific and Gulf of Mexico coasts from Central California and Florida south to Costa Rica, and along the Mississippi River at least as far north as St. Paul, Minnesota. In winter quarters, they are rarely found on the open seashore, preferring estuaries, bays, and lakes. They cross deserts and mountains, but avoid the open ocean on migration. But stray birds, often blown off course by hurricanes, have been seen in the Caribbean. White pelicans primarily feed upon fish, ranging from the size of minnows to pickerels, and they may also eat crustaceans, aquatic insects, and amphibians. Unlike many other pelicans, American white pelicans do not dive for its food. Instead, it catches its prey while swimming. Additionally, American white pelicans are known to work together in flocks of up to a dozen to corral schools of fish. Reaching around 50 to 70 inches or 130 to 180 centimeters in length and 7.7 to 30 pounds or 3.5 to 13.6 kilograms in weight, With a 95 to 120 inch or 240 to 300 centimeter wingspan, American white pelicans are one of the largest flying birds native to North America. They sport a large, plump body, broad wings, and a huge bill with a flat top and a large throat sac below. The plumage is almost entirely bright white, except for the black primary and secondary remiges, which are hardly visible except for in flight. During the breeding season, both sexes grow laterally flattened keratinous horns on the upper bill, located about 1/3 of the bill's length behind the tip. It is the only one of the 8 species of pelican to have a bill horn. American white pelicans arrive on the breeding grounds in March or April. Nesting starts between early April and early June, and the nest is a shallow depression scraped into the ground, into which some twigs, sticks, reeds, or similar debris have been gathered. After about 1 week of courtship and nest building, the female lays a clutch of 1 to 6 eggs. Both parents incubate the eggs for a month, and the young leave the nest around 3 to 4 weeks after hatching to join a creche. Here they will molt into immature plumage and learn to fly. After fledging, the parents care for the offspring for some 3 more weeks until the close family bonds separate in late summer and early fall. And the birds gather in large groups on rich feeding grounds in preparation for the migration to winter quarters. They migrate south by September or October. In ideal conditions, an American white pelican may live upwards of 30 years. Next up, we have Musca domestica, better known as the domestic fly or house fly, is a fly of the suborder Cyclorapha, likely originating in the Middle East. The housefly has developed a commensal relationship with humans and subsequently expanded its range with the spread of human civilization, being currently found in all populated parts of Europe, Asia, Africa, Oceania, and the Americas, giving the housefly possibly the widest distribution of any insect. Adult houseflies are diurnal and rest at night. If inside a building after dark, they tend to congregate on ceilings, beams, and overhead wires. While outdoors, they crawl onto foliage or long grass, or rest in shrubs and trees. In cooler climates, some houseflies hibernate in winter, choosing to do so in cracks and crevices, gaps in woodwork, or in the folds of curtains. They arouse in the spring when the weather warms up, and they search out a place to lay their eggs. As adults, houseflies feed upon animal matter, carrion, feces, milk, blood, sugary substances, and rotting fruit and vegetables. Houseflies have many predators, including birds, reptiles, amphibians, various insects, and spiders. They can carry pathogens on their bodies and in their feces, contaminate food, and contribute to the transfer of food-borne illnesses, while in numbers they can be physically annoying. For these reasons, they're considered pests. Reaching 0.23 to 0.28 inches or 6 to 7 millimeters in length, with a 0.51 to 0.59 inch or 13 to 15 millimeter wingspans, adult houseflies are gray to black in coloration, with 4 dark longitudinal lines on the thorax, slightly hairy bodies, and a single pair of membranous wings. They have red compound eyes set farther apart in the slightly larger females. Additionally, the females tend to be larger winged than males, while males have relatively longer legs. The female housefly usually mates only once and stores the sperm for later use. It lays batches of about 100 eggs on decaying organic matter, such as food waste, carrion, and feces. These soon hatch into legless white larvae known as maggots. After 2 to 5 days of development, these metamorphose into reddish-brown pupae, about 0.31 inches or 8 millimeters long. Unless hibernating, an adult housefly typically lives 2 to 4 weeks. Next up, we have Crassionycteris thonglongii, better known as Kitty's hognose bat, the bumblebee bat, or the hognose bat, is a near-threat species of bat and the only extant member of the family Crassionycteridae, which is endemic to western Thailand and southeast Myanmar. Here, the bumblebee bat tends to inhabit evergreen deciduous forests, where it occupies limestone caves along rivers, roosting in colonies of 10 to 500 individuals. Bumblebee bats are active around dusk and dawn, during which times they leave their roost to forage typically around fields of cassava and kapok, or around the tops of bamboo clumps and teak trees for prey, such as, that was my stomach, apologies, such as various insects and spiders, reaching just 1.1 to 1.3 inches or 20 to 33 millimeters in length, 0.071 ounces, excuse me, or 2 grams in weight, and a wingspan of 5.1 to 5.7 inches or 130 to 145 millimeters. The bumblebee bat is the smallest species of bat and is tied for the smallest extant mammal with the Etruscan shrew. The bat has a distinctive swollen pig-like snout with thin vertical nostrils. Its ears are relatively large, while its eyes are small and mostly concealed by fur. The bat's upper parts are reddish-brown or gray, while the underside is generally paler. The wings are relatively large and darker in color, with long tips that allow the bat to hover. Kitti's hognose bats have long, slender legs and no visible tail. However, there is a large web of skin between the hind legs, which may assist in flying and catching insects. Late in the dry season, around April of each year, females give birth to a single offspring. During feeding periods, the young either stays in the roost or remains attached to its mother. Under no conditions, a Kitti's hognose bat may live up to 10 years. Next up is Ecomila Miohyla raborum, better known as Rab's fringe-limbed tree frog, is an unfortunately now likely extinct species of frog in the family Hyliidae. The species was discovered by science in 2005 and formally described in 2008 by a team of herpetologists led by Joseph R. Mendelsohn III, and was named in honor of the conservationists and herpetologists George B. Rabb and Mary S. Rabb. It lived in the cloud forests of the Pacific-facing slopes of the mountains above the town of El Valle de Anton in central Panama, but has not been seen in the wild since 2007. These nocturnal amphibians typically dwelled within forest canopies, feeding upon insects and other arthropods. When threatened, it was capable of gliding through the air by leaping from its perch and fully stretching out its massive webbed hands and feet, even being able to steer the direction of its descent. Reaching some 2.4 to 3.9 inches or 61 to 100 millimeters in snout to vent length, Rab's fringe-limbed tree frogs sported a large flattened head that was wider than the body. The arms were short and stout, with very large hands whose webbed fingers are all relatively short, with large flattened discs on the tips. Small protrusions, known as tubercles, are present on the underside of the hands, with numerous smaller and rounder tubercles also present between the joints of the fingers. The hind limbs are slender and of moderate length. Like the hands, the feet are also very large, web, and possess tubercles. The skin of E. reborum is granular in texture and predominantly a mottled brown, whilst the rear of the thighs are pale yellow, and the underside is mostly white speckled with irregular brown spots. The eyelids and upper surfaces of the limbs and back are studded with green flecks. The irises of the eyes are uniformly reddish brown. During the breeding season, which occurred from March to May, adult males of the species are known to develop greatly enlarged upper arms with bony ridge covered by skin and black keratinized spines. Additionally, during such time, the males became highly territorial, defending water-filled tree holes used for breeding, and letting out a series of nightly calls consisting of a warm-up of owl-like calls of 3 to 5 notes, immediately followed by a single grick sound, which some call a barking sound. The calling bouts happened only at night and lasted for about 1 to 2 minutes. And aside from attracting females, the calls may have also served to warn off competing males. Females would lay some 60 to 200 eggs inside of water-filled tree holes attached to the water bark just above the waterline. After laying the eggs, the females would leave while the males remained to guard them. The eggs hatch into large tadpoles with dorsal-ventrally flattened bodies and short, blunt snouts. The fathers would feed their babies by backing into the tadpole-filled water of the tree holes and remaining half submerged until night. During this time, the tadpoles swim around them, rasping small pieces of skin from their fathers' backs and eating them, in a similar fashion to how some female caecilians feed their young. It is believed that Rab's fringed-lipped tree frog became extinct in the wild mainly because of an epidemic of amphibian citrid fungus in its native habitat, with the last known wild individual being heard but not seen in 2007. Despite the efforts of several conservation teams, captive breeding programs all failed. The last known female of the species died in 2009, and the last known individual, a male named Tuffy, resided at the Atlanta Botanical Garden until his death in September 26, 2016. Next up, we have Tadarida brasiliensis, better known as the Mexican free-tailed bat or the Brazil free-tailed bat. It is a species of bat native to North Central and South America and the Caribbean, so named because of its tail that can be almost half its total length and is not attached to its uropatagium. It is the fastest species of bat, reaching up to 99 miles per hour or 160 kilometers an hour in flight. And it has the highest flying of all bats, reaching altitudes of around 10,800 feet or 3,300 meters. The Mexican free-tailed bat ranges from the southern half of the continental United States down to northern Chile and central Argentina. Here they can be found in a wide variety of habitats, including mountains, deserts, swamps, woodlands, coastlands, grasslands, scrublands, wetlands, agricultural lands, and even cities. However, they tend to avoid dense rainforests, such as the Amazon. Mexican free-tailed bats roost primarily in caves, but may also rest in rock crevices, tree hollows, and buildings. They are highly social, and the largest known colony is found in Bracken Cave, north of San Antonio, Texas, with nearly 20 million bats. Mexican free-tailed bats are nocturnal foragers which utilize echolocation to navigate and locate prey, such as moths, beetles, dragonflies, flies, true bugs, wasps, and ants. Reaching around 3.5 to 4.3 inches or 9 to 11 centimeters in body length, 0.25 to 0.49 ounces or 7 to 14 grams in weight, and sporting a wingspan of 11 to 14 inches or 30 to 35 centimeters. The Mexican free-tailed bat sports dark brown to gray fur. Their feet are large and have distinct long white bristles. The wings are elongated and narrow with pointed tips, making them well equipped for quick, straight flight patterns. Their ears are wide, rounded, and are large compared to their heads, nearly meeting at the front of the face. And their namesake tails are almost half their total length and stretch beyond the uropatagium. Mating typically occurs in spring, and after an 11 to 12-week pregnancy, a mother bat will typically give birth to a single pup. The number of pups are A number of pups are left in creches, while the mothers roost elsewhere. The females use vocalizations and scent to identify her pup. The mother imprints her scent on the young early on. However, the young in the creche may be nursed or groomed by any other mother. By 4 to 7 weeks old, the young are full grown, fully weaned, and independent. In ideal conditions, a Mexican free-tailed bat may live up to 20 years. Next up, we have Argemina mitre, better known as the comet moth or Madagascan moon moth, is a moth native to the rainforests of Madagascar. The genus name Argema is Greek for speckled eye, referencing the abundant eye spots on their wings, which help the moth in warding off predators. Similarly, the common name comes from their tails, elongated parts of the lower wings that resemble the streaks trailing behind a comet. As caterpillars, these nocturnal insects typically feed upon host plants in the genus Eugenia and Weinmania, as well as Eucalyptus gunni and liquid ambar. As adults, they lack mouths and a functioning digestive system and thus simply do not eat. As adults, the male moths can have a 7 to 8 inch or 17.8 to 20.3 centimeter wingspan with a length of 10 to 12 inches or 25.4 to 30.5 centimeters from top to bottom. Females tend to be wider with heavier wings, but with much shorter tails. The most notable difference is the long feathery antennae of the males. The wings of the comet moth are able to significantly absorb ultrasonic waves, so their main predators, being bats, who attempt echolocation, will receive a dampened echo, hindering their detection. The long tails present on the hind wings, can also disrupt ultrasonic waves during flight, and furthermore deflect physical attack. Anywhere from 100 to 150 large, rounded, and flattened eggs are laid by a single adult female moth after fertilization. After incubating for some 10 to 20 days, caterpillars emerge. The first instar caterpillar is quite large already and has a reddish saddle on its back. This disappears when molting into the second instar. During the fifth and final instar, the caterpillars are huge, approaching 6 inches or 15.2 centimeters. The body is a deeply segmented, and the color is a translucent green. The bands and segments are yellowish. The cocoon is a whitish gray color with many holes throughout, which allow rainwater and moisture to escape, preventing the pupa from drowning during downpours. Due to this semi-permeable nature, one can see the pupa inside. After a 5 to 6 month metamorphosis, the adult moths emerge from their cocoons. Because of their inability to feed as adults, the comet moths will live just 6 to 8 days. During such time, their primary priority is to mate as much as possible before depositing their eggs in the safety of their host plants. Next up, we have Colaptes auratus, better known as the northern flicker, the common flicker, the yellowhammer, clap, grapher woodpecker, hairy wicket, hi-ho, wake up, walk up, wick up, yarrup, and gawker bird, is a medium-sized bird of the woodpecker family Factutae, which is native to most of North America, parts of Central America, Cuba, and the Cayman Islands. 10 subspecies are recognized, of which one is now extinct, including the southern yellow-shafted flicker, northern yellow-shafted flicker, Cuban yellow-shafted flicker, Grand Cayman yellow-shafted flicker, western red-shafted flicker, coastal red-shafted flicker, dwarf red-shafted flicker, Mexican red-shafted flicker, Guatemalan red-shafted flicker, and Guadalupe red-shafted flicker. Northern flickers tend to inhabit more open woodlands and forests, or habitats adjacent to, such as meadows, grasslands, montane and shrub brush regions, and city parks and agricultural land. Like other woodpeckers, northern flickers generally nest in holes in trees. However, they're also known to roost in cavities inside buildings, and as well as in earthen burrows vacated by belted kingfishers or sand martins. They are somewhat social birds, typically live alone or in mated pairs, but are also known to gather in small, loose groups on the ground to feed and may occasionally mix with other ground foraging birds such as sparrows and blackbirds. Northern flickers primarily feed upon insects and other invertebrates, but are also known to eat fruits, berries, seeds, and nuts. Flickers are the only woodpeckers that frequently feed on the ground, but also probe trees and insect nests with their beak and occasionally catch insects in flight. Northern flickers are preyed upon by snakes, raccoons, martins, and various birds of prey, reaching 11 to 14 inches or 28 to 36 centimeters in length and 3 to 6 ounces or 86 to 170 grams in weight, with a 16.5 to 21.5 inch or 42 to 54 centimeter wingspan. Adult northern flickers are brown with black bars on the back and wings. A necklace-like black patch occupies the upper breast, while the lower breast and belly are beige with black spots. Males can be identified by a black in the eastern part of the species range or red in the western part, moustachial stripe at the base of the beak, while females lack this stripe. The tail is dark on top, transitioning into a white rump, which is conspicuous in flight. Northern flickers are partial migrants, with some southern populations being completely non-migratory. Those that do migrate tend to begin in their spring migration towards the beginning of April and make their returns between September and October. Breeding typically occurs from February to July. During such time, both partners help with the nest excavation. The mother lays 6 to 8 eggs, whose shells are pure white with a smooth surface and high gloss. On average, the northern flicker can have 1 to 2 clutches each breeding season. The parents take turns incubating said eggs until they hatch some 11 to 12 days later. Said young fledge around 25 to 28 days after hatching. In ideal conditions, a northern flicker may live up to 10 years. Next up, we have P. tauroides volans, better known as the southern great glider or southern and central great glider, is a species of large gliding marsupial native to the forests of southwestern Australia. Not southwestern, southeastern. Apologies. They are a nocturnal animal which spends its days denned in hollowed trees, with each animal having up to 20 different dens within its home range. At night, they emerge to search for food. These herbivores eat almost exclusively eucalyptus leaves and buds. These animals regularly glide between high trees and are able to use their tails to assist in steering. They avoid traveling along the ground whenever possible and are slow and clumsy if forced to do so. Raider gliders do not make any sounds and almost exclusively communicate through scent. They are regularly preyed upon by owls and introduced feral cats. Reaching 2 to 3.75 pounds or 0.91 to 1.7 kilograms in weight, at 14 to 18 inches or 35 to 46 centimeters in length, with an up to 24-inch or 60 centimeter long fluffy tail. The southern greater glider is one of the world's largest gliding animals. The gliding membrane stretches from the forearm to the tibia and has a triangular outline when outstretched. Its ears are large and furry, and it has a short snout. This species displays polymorphism, having a dark morph that is almost black in color with a white underside, and a light morph that is gray and white with a white underside. The breeding season for rare gliders is relatively brief, lasting from February to May. The mothers give birth between April and June to a single offspring known as a joey. Said joey does not begin to leave the pouch for around 4 months, by which time it is already furred and well developed. After leaving the pouch, the mother may carry it on her back until it is weaned at about 7 months of age. The young are independent at 9 months and reach their maturity around 18 months and 2 years after birth. Under ideal conditions, a southern greater glider may live up to 15 years. And last but certainly not least, we have Aramborginia, a genus of pterosaur, an extinct group of flying reptiles that inhabited Jordan during the Restrictian age of the Cretaceous period, around 72 to 66 million years ago. Additional fossil remains from the United States and Morocco have also been found, but their assignment to Aramborginia is only tentative. The first remains of Aramborginia, consisting of several fossil fragments, most notably an incomplete fossilized cervical neck vertebrae, measuring 60.96 centimeters or 2 feet in length, was discovered in 1943 by a railway worker near Rusifa, Jordan. After examination of the specimen by paleontologist Camille Arambourg, He described it as belonging to a new genus and species in 1959, Titanopteryx philadelphiae. The generic name means titan wing, as the fossil was initially misidentified as a wing metacarpal, while the specific name refers to the ancient name of Amman, the capital of Jordan, Philadelphia. The genus name Titanopteryx would later be problematic, as it had already been taken by a species of fly. Because of this, paleontologist Lev Nizov in 1989 renamed the genus Aramborginia in honor of Aramborg. Since 1943, additional isolated remains, including vertebrae, wing bones, and hind limb bones, have been assigned to the genus. Due to the fragmentary nature of Aramborginia fossils, there is little direct information about its anatomy. Based on the complete neck of its relative Quetzalcoatlus, Aramborginia had a total neck length of around 3 meters or 9 foot 10 inches, longer than those of giraffes. Its vertebrae were also more lightly built and weakly muscled than those of its robust, short-necked relative Hatzicopteryx. Again, based on comparisons to its close relatives, it is estimated that Aramborginia would have reached around 13.1 to 16.4 feet, or 4 to 5 meters in height, and sported a 26 to 33 foot, or 8 to 10 meter long wingspan, making it one of the largest animals to ever fly. Aramborginia is a member of the family Asdarchidae, which includes some of the largest known pterosaurs. Asdarchids are thought to have had a terrestrial stalker lifestyle similar to that of extant storks, although every fossil of Aramborginia has been found in marine and coastal sediments, which indicates that this pterosaur was likely a coastal animal that may have filled the role of beachcomber and shallow water spearer, not unlike modern birds such as herons. As always, take care to my guys, gals, non binary pals. Hope you have a wonderful aviation day.